On Thursday, Spurs head coach Gregg Popovich gave his thoughts on what happened in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. Crazy day in Washington, D.C. You had protesters breaking through the Capitol building, causing trouble, wreaking havoc, and it just was a sad, sad day. Take a listen as Gregg Popovich gives his thoughts.
The blatant, dangerous, debilitating racism that is our country's sin and has plagued us all these years. There can't be a better obvious example of a system that is not fair as far as justice and equal rights are concerned and protection of citizens. It was just right in your face, and anybody that can ignore that is a shameful individual, in my opinion. It's hard to deny that. And the second take was the fact that I believe with all my heart that Trump enjoyed it. And they talked about the police and how easy it was, and the barriers were pulled and they just walked right in. That doesn't happen unless there's a wink and a nod somewhere. That just doesn't happen. It's never happened at any protest anybody's ever been to. This was a wink and a nod. Somebody had to realize that this was allowed, that this was, and that's where the lack of preparation comes too. There wasn't any preparation. He didn't want any preparation. He's incapable. He's incompetent. While that was going on, 4,000 of our other citizens died due to the pandemic yesterday. We still have the cyber attack that was way worse than Pearl Harbor that hasn't been talked about by him. He doesn't care. He loved those people hitting the Capitol because that's what he cares about. There's nothing, he's incapable of caring. And it's in one way, it's sad because he's a deranged, really flawed individual, but he's also dangerous. And that's why I don't think it's so far-fetched for people to start talking about the 25th Amendment. We know it probably won't happen. Mike Pence isn't going to do it. You know, he's been an obsequious man for 4 years. He's not going to do it. I think he tried to take credit because he didn't try to overturn everything in the Congress last night. Well, he can't. He doesn't have the power to. But people acted like he did some kind of good thing. Their job there by the Constitution is to count the ballots. That's it. That's all they do. So he didn't do anything to help any situation whatsoever. If he really wanted to save himself, and like Lindsey Graham tried to do, which was really hilarious after the way he's conducted himself for 4 years, he could go ahead and start this 25th Amendment procedure. And then he'd be a hero. Then he could have his self-respect back. But he has none. All these people, you know, Holly's a joke. This entitled, elite, educated person is really smart, just like Ted Cruz is smart. But they throw fuel onto Trump's fire. They are worse than Trump because they're not sick. They're not deeply flawed. Mr. Trump is not a well man. These people are sane, but their self-interest, their greed, their lust for power outweighs their love of country or their sense of duty to the Constitution or to public service. And one would have thought with those incidents yesterday, they might do a mea culpa like Senator Loeffler, even though it was hilarious also. But they doubled down and still went and did it. As if we're all stupid. You know, sometimes smart people think everybody else is stupid. And they don't think that we can see that they did this for their own personal reasons so they can keep the base. But it's going to backfire on them. So those are my two major takes from it. And, you know, beyond that, there are a million things we could talk about, but, you know, there's a game later. But just the sickness that this man has, and the fact that it was the Capitol, it's our country. We're in a horrible position, and we could send a message to the world. We can send a message to our children, to our citizens, that what they saw yesterday wasn't really America. Although that was America. It happened here. That's who we are. But we don't want to be that. And Mike Pence can send a message. If he doesn't, I hope Nancy Pelosi follows through. Because even if it doesn't work, it's not the point. It'd be great if it did, but to send that message to the world that's laughing at us, I'm embarrassed to be an American and see people see what they saw yesterday. It would send a great message and maybe help all of us to heal a bit and start to feel good. I felt really good when I listened to President-elect Biden today. I started to feel like I had a country and it was fair and there's some good things ahead. And then when I listened to Judge Garland, I was fired up, really fired up. So we'll see where it goes, but we can't forget the miserable example of racism that was the biggest takeaway of the whole day, beside the cowardice and obsequious of our elected officials.
Because you're contrasting what happened yesterday with the George Floyd protests and how all that was happening.
You know, how they go to those protests. I mean, you know, they're armed to the teeth and ready to go, and they're going to get after those people because those are the people that do not support Trump. But if people support Trump, then it's a free pass. They just happen to be white. And that's what white privilege does for you. That's that's white privilege to the nth degree. No fear whatsoever.